Welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy From Afar, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Mr. 99.36% and FPL super producer, but not champion, Ian Stimpson. I got mixed up for a second, but I saved it, okay? I saved it. Let the record show that I saved it.
You saved it about as well as Kepa. You fucking Kepa the intro.
He had a good Kepa-ing this morning. We are recording Sunday, and Chelsea had an FA Cup victory, and Kepa did a Kepa. It was pretty nice. Pretty good old time's sake.
Yeah. Denominative, sorry.
What's the opposite of nominative determinism?
Yeah. Denominative?
Nope.
Anti-nominative?
Nope. It's just nominative.
Well, no, but he's not a good example of, it's not.
It would be nominative anti-determinism.
Inferred? Nominative?
Well, this has started well. Should we just go again?
It snowed today.
And welcome! Well, if you are joining us for the first time, thank you. We are happy to have you. We are one American and two Brits who try to talk about the Premier League, but mostly go off topic. And we usually like to start things off with our famous segment, Rapid Fire News. Our top story this evening, Cristiano Ronaldo is now the highest scorer of all time, say many reports, but not all, after the 760th goal of his career scored in Juventus' 2-0 Italian Super Cup win over Napoli. But is it true? Ronaldo has scored 5 goals for Sporting Lisbon, 118 for Manchester United, 450 for Real Madrid, 85. So there's no doubt about his figure, but there's confusion that seems to come from his goal-scoring rival of olden days, a.k.a. Pele says he scored 7,000 goals in friendlies, and it counts.
Yeah, it totally counts, yeah. When he's kicking a ball against a wall that's got a goal, painted on it. They all count. Goal.
All goals. Yeah, mate. Pele, just keep rolling them out. Every time he pops a bluey, back, goal. Open mouth. If he flicks it in.
Oh.
Not his winky, the pill.
Look, you said popped a bluey, flicked it in. Oh, what am I supposed to think?
I'd have said thumbed it in.
You can't. Now we're both disappointed with each other.
And that links us back to goals. I don't know. Has he scored? That's quite a lot of goals, isn't it? That's quite nice. A bit greedy, if anything. Maybe less.
Really? Yeah. He should have passed more, shouldn't he, Ronaldo?
He should pass more, yeah.
Hey, if Messi can pass, then Ronaldo can pass.
But what are their assist of the assisters record? That's what we all really want to know.
The Andre Arshavin Award.
Blimey, here's a blast from the past.
Next story. Players who compete in a European Super League will be barred from international competitions, World Football's governing body FIFA said. FIFA and the 6 confederations, including UEFA, reiterated that such a competition would not be recognized.
FIFA and UEFA agreeing on something? Question mark? Weird. Must be a lot of money in it for the both of them.
Immediately, I'm not sure. I'm all turned around on the Super League now. If they're against it, I'm for it.
Yeah. No, they seem to actually be agreeing for once that they're just going to bar all these players from any of their own tournaments, which would be fun. That'd be interesting to see. If it ever actually happened and it was all talk. Not the Super League, because I think at some point something will happen, whether it's in a new form competition or whatever. But whether FIFA and UEFA allow for these sanctions so these players can't represent their nations, or B, how long that sanction were to last should it actually happen.
Yeah, they have to miss 1 minute. That's it. You're banned from 1 minute during warm-ups, too. It doesn't have to be during a match.
Yeah.
Come on. You think they're going to run the World Cup with a bunch of pub teams representing their countries? No. They want the big-name players who would be the ones that would be in the European Super League anyway.
Well, I suppose it's probably to get the nations on side, because if you think about the bigger nations, they have more players who play for the teams that would likely form the European Super League. So, therefore, if those players aren't allowed, it's going to bring down the average of the traditional great teams. Like, Germany, their team's all Bayern. So if they're in the Super League, that's it. Germany's rolling their B team out.
Right.
England is mostly top 6 teams. Obviously, we don't know what permutation or whatever would fit into that. The French team, I don't know, they mostly pay for those clubs. Italy, Spain. So,
Belgium's all in the Premier League.
Belgium's all in the Premier League in those clubs. So I think it's probably to try and get the nations on side more to have some weight to it to prevent it, unless the big teams just put in a fuckload of money to FIFA and then they don't worry and it's all backhanders. But FIFA categorically, I must say this for legal reasons, have no proven history of that. They don't really do it.
No corruption at FIFA at all. The problem with this is that there's no real playing chicken with the negotiations, is it? Because the European Super League either happens or it doesn't. And if it happens, then you've got to sanction them if you said you were going to. Like, there's no sort of halfway house in negotiations. If this Super League happens, it's all happening at once, and then a load of players just get dropped out. It's
not like UEFA to make a big threat and then not actually follow through with any sanctions or punishments other than a fine of about £16 and one order of Domino's pizza.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, who knows though? So if this Super League was to happen, it would be purely driven and organised by the clubs. That's how it
sounds like it. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
But that's the emptiest threat fucking ever. Like, we already have an international competition with no good players. It's called the Olympics, and no one watches it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's soccer at the Olympics. Can you tell me who the last gold medal winner was for the men's?
Okay. It's just when you said that, it just sounded like you were saying no one watches the Olympics. Like, probably.
No. The Olympics in general is obviously quite watched, but literally, can you name even one of the finalists at the last men's Olympic gold medal game?
James Tompkins played for the GB team in 2012.
There we go. See, we know loads about it, Oscar. What are you talking about?
All right, moving on. To a much better and less funny but good news, and that is that the Premier League has formally agreed to trial the use of permanent concussion substitutes. Clubs approved the trial during a shareholders meeting on Wednesday, although there is no start date yet. The trial will begin when the implementation of the reporting processes has been resolved. The new rule means that up to 2 permanent substitutions can be made in the event of head injuries, even if all replacements had already been used. Bravo!
This is a great thing because head injuries, be careful, with seeing more and more the effect on players in later life and players from the 60s, 70s dying early of brain-related issues and complications due to things like Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. But how much do you think teams will use? Because players already go down, right? Holding their heads, holding their faces to get substitutions. Do you think that there would potentially have to be punishments after the fact if it came out that, say, that player had not suffered a concussion?
That seems incredibly dangerous.
I know, right? Because it's got to be suspected concussion and you've got to allow for that. Of course you have. But do you think teams will just use that and say, oh, we thought he had a concussion because he got hit on the head? And it's a way, I'm just playing Red Devil's advocate here, that it's a way that these teams that wanted 5 subs could just use 5 subs? Like, just tell a player, go down in the 80th minute and hold your head. Oh, by the way, ref, this is one of our free concussion subs. We think he might be bad.
It's that's probably part of the thinking behind putting a limit of 2 on there. Because that seems pretty, what if, a third player gets a concussion, all of a sudden he has to keep playing? Why 2? That seems really dumb. Seems like, to me, it should be unlimited. So that must have been a conversation that they had behind the scenes. They were like, well, you know what, why don't we just say it's a maximum of 2 so that people can't abuse it too much? I'd imagine something like fines after the fact would be an option, although that's really tricky because different doctors would maybe make different diagnoses, especially around brain injuries. What one doctor might say is a borderline concussion is what another doctor would be like, yeah, no, that's very clearly a concussion. It's such a tricky thing.
Just because with actual concussion, there's limits to, especially in certain sports. I don't know whether there is in football, but in certain sports, they won't let you play anymore once you hit a certain number because they're like, no, it's now too dangerous for you because of the repetitive injuries. I'm sure that's a thing in the NFL and possibly in rugby as well. And obviously where you're more susceptible to it because you've got people going in with their heads low and tackles, etc.
Right.
Well, okay, so that, apart from the obvious fact that that's a good idea because you don't want people consistently getting head injuries because, as you say, there's lots of evidence that then that causes problems later on in life, that would mitigate the possibility of what you were talking about there, Chuck, which is the most depressing idea ever, that teams would use it to get an advantage and get more substitutes, which probably would happen because obviously
Stoke exists.
Yeah. But at least with what you said there, that if there was a if a player gets so many concussion, I mean, I don't know how what would happen then. Their just career is over, or
yeah, I mean, people's careers get ended for injury-related reasons all the time. Like, I mean, people voluntarily choose to do that, obviously, in real life already. Like, Stu Holden was an American example where he was up and coming. He played for Bolton a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
He was like a really exciting young American guy. People were like, oh, this might be our first like great central midfielder. And then he got like a really, really bad head injury and was like, no, I'm out. And just like retired young.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that is the thing that happens. I don't know if it's in the NFL because to me, from what I understand, and I'm not at all an NFL fan, so I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure they're bad about concussion stuff. Like that's like the big thing against the NFL is that they don't take care of their players enough when it comes to concussion protocols and all that. But that seems like something that would be a thing, at least somewhere, that like, oh, you are up to 3 bad concussions. You know, your punch card is punched out. No more.
At least if that was in, it might sort of mitigate against, because players would kick against it then if their manager said to them, you've got to go down with a concussion because we need a substitute. At least then you might get some kickback from players about not doing that.
Well, no, but that's what I mean, because it's suspected concussion, so that the whoever looks after them on the pitch can say, oh, I'm not too sure, I think he may have concussion, you get to use the free one. Then afterwards they go, oh no, we've looked at your scan, you're absolutely fine.
Ugh.
I can't see that being enough of a problem, really, to derail the whole thing. Like,
I hope not.
You have to give, especially even the player side of it, like they take their own health long term more seriously than the club might or the manager might or whatever. Like they are going to self-regulate, I would imagine, as far as like really egregious cases of that. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be like, no, if we fuck around with this concussion stuff, like we will end up with less protections maybe, and we need to keep our protections for our own long-term health benefits. Like,
you'd like to think so.
All right. Well, on that depressing note, let's move on to another depressing story. Brentford will report an individual who allegedly racially abused striker Ivan Toney on social media to the police and other relevant authorities. Toney, 24, received the abuse on his Instagram. On Monday, the Championship Club complained to the social media provider and the user has been banned from Instagram while the offending post has been removed, but the club wants police action.
Cool. Good.
Yeah.
Because all that happens, you just see another one. You see Dave 064708 instead of 067407. You know what I mean? They just start a new account and a new thing because there's no regulation. And it's not that you want to get to the point where it's a nanny state where you have to put in your ID because obviously there are then dangers for various other reasons with hacking of putting in America social security numbers, or in the UK providing proof of identification, and be that passport or driving license. But there needs to be stronger action. There has to be deleting someone's, or to be fair, banning Trump has seemed to work. I don't really hear about him anymore. but it doesn't stop these people from just doing it again and again and again. They're hiding behind avatars that are just bland. They don't put their real names on there, and they can just hide and abuse these players. And again, we find ourselves talking about it because it's necessary, and these things need to fucking stop in this world.
Yeah, I'm quite tired of like having one weekly slot in my 5 rapid fire news stories for the racist story this week. And I'm sure our listeners are tired of hearing about it, but keep plugging away, keep fighting that fight all the time.
I don't want that to become a fixture so much that like it almost warrants a jingle. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be. Yeah. It shouldn't be a persistent fucking thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. A feature of what we do. But so help me God, if it comes up, we will mention it every single time. And I don't care whether people get bored of it. I don't care whether people get bored of listening to it or the fact it feels like we're repeating ourselves. This is the world we live in. This is the stance we take. That's it.
Well said.
Suck my dick if you don't like it.
Very good. Okay, well, let's move on to the fixtures then, gentlemen. Sound good? Ready for some football?
Football! Oh, Jesus Christ, the football's gone on for ages this week.
I know. It's like really this is going to be like half of one game week and half of another, or this is like a split double kind of sort of weird week. But we're starting off with Monday, January 18th, 2021. Arsenal 3, Newcastle 0. Arsenal 2.3 to Newcastle's 0.2. So a very, very solid performance from Arsenal here. Gentlemen, I didn't catch this one, but have Arsenal turned it around?
Has Aubameyang turned it around? That's the thing. 2 goals and suddenly Arsenal look a bit rosy. If he can just keep scoring at the rate he used to, Arsenal, it'll paper over a lot of cracks that Arsenal have got, I think.
Spoiler alert, he can't keep scoring at the rate he used to, and that's the problem.
Well, this is it. But remember when we kept saying that about Harry Kane? So let's wait a second. Let's just wait a second there. I think to not be fair, first of all, they're playing Newcastle, who are fucking
to not
woeful.
be fair, first of all.
Who are we not being fair to?
Arsenal.
To be anti-fair, first of all.
Anti-nominated defense. I don't know.
No.
Oh God, I'm stuck again. They Arteta went Lampard last year route and has played a lot more of the younger players. And we've said a few times that Saka and Smith Rowe have been great since they've come in. They've just got Thomas Partey back, and someone else came back from injury. Insert name here. So they are starting to be a bit more coherent. And we've said quite a few times that it's just if Aubameyang can actually start doing what he does again on top of that, that will be good. So that's obviously what you're alluding to there, Ian. But pinch of salt, man, when you're playing Newcastle, who are at the moment, I'm almost certain, I'm not even going to look it up, but they're the worst team in the league. Like, you watch them, they're not doing anything to go forward. At least Sheffield United, yes, they've been awful, but they're still trying things. Fulham keep eking out draws or coming very close, but they're turning the corner and performing. But Newcastle are really in danger now of dropping back, I think, a bit. But Arsenal getting, 12 points out of the last possible 15?
It's not bad. It's not a bad run.
Pretty good. 13 points, sorry. Maths.
They're getting alarmingly close to Chelsea, which is incredibly depressing, and I don't want to talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Both played 19 games, 27 and 29 points.
Yep.
It's close. 13 points in your last 5 versus 4 points in your last 5. Ugh.
And we've literally been talking about Arsenal being absolutely done as a force. So while I'm not suggesting that they're not done as a force, because I think they are a long way away, does it cause you concern, Oscar, that, Chelsea are now within a couple of points of them? And we were talking about Arsenal as if, we don't even think about them as a top 4 team now.
We'll get to Chelsea in detail later, but my answer continues... No, I know. But my answer continues to be, I'm upset, but not worried. Not worried yet, at least.
Okay.
Approaching worried, closer, more and more, rapidly approaching worried. But to Arsenal's credit, though, unexpected points, they're on 28.4, and Tottenham, who've been having such a mighty, wonderful season, are on 28.7. So, they're almost dead even with Tottenham on expected points. So, I do think that maybe we've been anti-fair to Arsenal a little bit.
This feels like you're taking a piss out of me now. Hang on a minute.
Chuck feels slighted.
I'm not quite sure on what level yet, but objectively, and if you look from as take it completely as not you're a Chelsea fan and Arsenal are Arsenal, but you've got two teams that are kind of in similar situations, and we said that last year. And it's just where they go from it. They've both got very inexperienced managers who have been able to, Frank's been around some great managers in Jose Mourinho. And was he managed by Pep when he was at City? Was it Pep's first season?
No, I think that's the year that Pep had off, because then he came to NYCFC. And Pep was living in New York that year.
Anyway, but Arteta's obviously learned from Pep as well, and had to spend his time there as an assistant kind of role, and going into his first role. Arsenal, we've said for ages, need a massive clear out and a big reset. Chelsea kind of had that because of what happened with that 1 year transfer ban, and that they needed to go into a reset. But, then you have to look at it as Chelsea have spent 200 million and backed their manager this year to try to get further along that point, and Arsenal haven't. But Arsenal have spunked a load of money on people in the past. Paying 72 million for Nicola Pepe, and he doesn't play at all, and he's getting completely done week in, week out by Saka or even Smith Rowe is playing ahead of him in those positions. So I think they're still, now that we've got a bit more of a sample size, they're still fairly balanced in where they are, which is kind of what you'd expect, that they have a base that they can both kick on from, potentially, if they keep faith in their managers. It's just that at the minute, whereas before Arteta was in a bad run of form and is now picking it up, before Frank was in a good run of form and is now not really getting the rub of the green.
And now, of course, Arsenal have got rid of a massive hole in their balance sheet every week. They might be able to spend a bit of that money on securing...
Was he bringing in a load of Fortnite money?
Oh, do you think his Twitch stream was going straight into the Arsenal's coffers, yeah?
I mean, problem is, Gunnosaurus now, he was only in a job because of Ozil.
I mean,
Ozil was paying his wage.
Yeah,
It's true. I forgot about that.
Gunnosaurus straight out of a job. Oh my God, we didn't think this through. Or he's going to Fenerbahce as well.
You never think about the innocent bystanders.
I love the idea of Gunnosaurus turning up in Turkey being like, "Hi, I followed you to Fenerbahce."
Yeah, I thought our contracts were tied together. No. But no, what I'm saying is, though, now that hole in the balance sheet is gone, maybe they can secure some of these youngsters on proper contracts that might mean they don't get sold to Chelsea or whoever. So maybe the future's a bit brighter because of Ozil moving on. But I suppose time will tell.
I think Smith Rowe is on like 10 or 15, and they've offered him a contract which is worth 40 something.
40 grand a year. Gunnosaurus was on more than that.
But it's interesting because I would see him now at a similar kind of stage as like Callum Hudson-Odoi was a couple of years ago. Now, granted, Hudson-Odoi had Bayern sniffing around. Chelsea went from 30 to like 200 grand a week for Hudson-Odoi.
Right.
And Arsenal are in a similar situation with a player and are going from 15 to 40.
Yeah, but that's literally market forces. Like you just described capitalism. It's not about how talented he is. It's about what he's worth on the open market. And if you want to keep that asset...
That's why socialism should rule! I'm taking a knee right now. That's how Marxist I am.
And... Oh, you really are. But yeah, different companies, different football clubs value assets differently, or certainly how they react to things. So I think what this thing is whether the same player would get a better contract at another club, not just this is how much he's worth, because that's not that's not something you can definitely say.
Yeah, I guess the use of worth. Wow, we are really getting into semantics. This is like true podcasting.
Yeah, self-indulgent shit.
Yeah, I'm actually just gonna move on.
Fine. Okay. Next match.
Tuesday, January 19, 2021, we had the West Derby. This one's for all the Wests. That's right, we had West Ham 2, West Bromwich Albion 1.
Go West!
West Ham 2.2 to West Brom's 0.5. West Brom, worst team ever?
I'll get over you.
I will continue to ask this every week until one of you says, yes, they are the worst team ever.
Is that what you want?
Go West.
Stop singing.
No. West Brom. Why? It was Go West. There was a theme.
No, I know, but...
Think of wishful thinking from the film Pretty Woman.
Your constant asides. Go on.
It's what the Patreons are here for. No, West Brom, they were good at... I suppose. I see your point.
That they are on 9.6 expected points. They have not broken into double-digit expected points yet. We are halfway through the season.
Yeah, but Sam Allardyce is... I still think somehow... I don't know. For me, 6 teams are staying up that should get relegated, in my mind. But Big Sam takes time, and then he just gets really good runs, and we'll sort it out. And I'm really hoping that it's Brighton and Newcastle that drop into the relegation zone, and Fulham and West Brom stay up.
I don't know, man. It's starting to give me Dog on Fire vibes, where he's like, it's fine. He never goes down. He never goes down. He never goes down.
We can't stress this enough. Do not set dogs on fire.
Come on, you know what I'm talking about. The dog in the room that's on fire drinking coffee. That's Big Sam. Just put one of our listeners, Photoshop Big Sam's face onto the dog, and then it'll say, this is fine. I never go down.
And Photoshop a pint of wine in front of the coffee. Can I do the 538 numbers?
Please do,
Can I do it? Because I looked at this the other day. West Brom 91% for relegation. And
okay.
But what's weird is Sheffield United 92. So...
What? That's ridiculous.
The stats are saying that still possibly there's like a 1% variance that West Brom could finish below Sheffield. That's how it works, Oscar. Don't fucking... Yeah?
I find that hard to believe, because as you said, Sam Allardyce has got a great record. I mean...
The model doesn't care about the names. That's the point of stats. It doesn't give a fuck about the names. It doesn't give a fuck about, it just looks at numbers.
But you say that as a good thing. What I'm saying is a predictive model. Can it not look at, but they've changed manager now. This is, a better situation for them defensively, or should
maybe
be.
They would have been 93 without Allardyce. Who knows?
I'm asking a lot. I'm just, maybe you're right. Yeah.
That actually naturally leads into, thank you, the next fixture because on Double Pivot this week, and I'm going to plug a different podcast, very, very dry. The personalities, they're not as funny as us, but they're way smarter. They had a really, really amazing discussion. Like the entire episode was just the Frank Lampard episode, but like half of it was like, how do we measure managers? How can we say with any sort of certainty using true analytics and statistics, like what does it mean for a manager to be good? How do we measure that impact? The answer is basically we don't have that yet. There's no way to know, so we should try to avoid it in math until we're at a more advanced
Spoiler
place.
alert, I was going to listen to the podcast.
You don't need to now.
Now I know how it's going to end.
The answer is always maybe so, maybe no. It depends. Ask a smart person something, and the answer is always it depends.
They're very politician-y.
Yeah, exactly. But let's move on because they did spend that whole episode talking about Frank and whether he should or shouldn't get fired and how good of a manager he's been. We had Leicester 2, Chelsea 0, Leicester 1.2 to Chelsea's 0.6. So just a straight up loss. Leicester were better than us. Good, fair play to them. Genuinely, played out. We sucked.
Did Leicester didn't even need to get a penalty, did they?
No.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? Like a 1-0 win against Fulham, like a battling win against 10-man Fulham, in fact, and then lose 2-0 to Leicester. I mean, I'm happy to talk about this as much or as little as you want right now, buddy. This is a safe space. I just want you to feel comfortable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very, very nice to feel taken care of.
No, someone's got to.
Nah, I mean, look, my take is what it has been. I don't think Frank has done a good job. And for the record, I hope I've never said that, even if maybe it was kind of implied. I don't know that he's done a good job. I also don't think that he did a particularly bad job. I also, more importantly, think that that's a moot point now. I'm not going to have this debate for the rest of my life. Well, actually, I think Frank wasn't that bad. Fuck it, whatever, that's done, right? I do think he wasn't that bad. I don't necessarily think he deserves to be fired, but he's definitely going to be fired. He's getting in arguments with reporters and being a real dickhead in press conferences now and slagging off his players and everything. It's getting ugly.
That's the Mourinho coming out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but Mourinho without the trophy.
Without wit as well. Mourinho's always got that layer where he could potentially hide behind the fact he's not directly saying it to someone. Whereas Lampard just goes, you.
Your articles. You're an asshole. I don't like your articles. You specifically.
This newspaper on this day and you wrote this.
Yeah.
You fucking bitch.
That was ugly. I didn't like seeing that. He's getting defensive. You can tell that it's really toxic. And I think that at that point when you do lose the clubhouse, you lose the locker room, whatever. It's much easier to fire a manager than to fire, an entire squad's worth of players. And I also think that we have an amazing squad of players. There's a much, much deeper and better analysis of the Frank Lampard situation if you want to listen to 45 minutes of the Double Pivot talk about it. Short answer, it was a complicated thing. He didn't have new signings. Then he had a lot of new signings and COVID and all that sort of extra stuff. And so, it's a big shrug. I don't know how good of a manager he was, but also, let's move forward. If he's going to be fired, he's going to be fired.
Already talking about him in the past tense. It's that done a deal as far as you're concerned.
I really do. Yeah, it feels, I've been a Chelsea fan long enough to know when the manager's about to be fired, and it feels like I was surprised that he managed this morning against Luton Town. I genuinely thought he wouldn't kick off.
Watford fans get the same feeling in their loins as well.
Yeah. It's like every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. Every time a breeze walks by, I'm like, oh, Frank's going to be fired soon.
I had an analogy in my head right then, and I really thought you were going to say it, that it's almost for Watford fans at least, it's very much like in Game of Thrones, every time a Targaryen's born, you flip a coin. For Watford fans, it's just like you wake up, you flip a coin. Is the manager going to be fired today? Oh, we're going to have a new one?
Every new day, yeah.
So it feels like that. Because do you think then, maybe now, hindsight being 2020, is that perhaps those players weren't necessarily bought for Lampard?
No, I definitely don't think that they were bought for Lampard. I also, and this was something that the Double Pivot went into, and have gone into at different times more than I have particularly, I don't think that they had a cohesive enough vision in their transfer strategy. It was just let's sign as many really talented players as we can, and maybe we'll build something on the fly. But every expert was what's their lineup going to be? Who fucking knows? Big question mark. So if they had more targeted transfer strategy with the 200 million, and I know that I sound like the whiniest fucking crazy fan in the world. My club spent 200 million, but they didn't spend the right way. I know. But not Kovacic. Kai Havertz in retrospect, while I like having him at Chelsea and I think that hasn't been a flop, he had fucking COVID and like really bad COVID and he's like in a new country and all that extra stuff, like give him a break. I think that money spent either on a backup to Ziyech, because when Ziyech is hurt, we're fucking terrible, or a backup to Conte, because when Conte's hurt, we don't have a midfield. Like none of those other guys are true defensive mids or central mids.
Yeah.
70 mil price tag as well. Once you get to that point, I mean, I took the piss out of him earlier, but it's not his fault. Like Nicola Pepe, you've got Nicola Pepe, Harry Maguire, Kai Havertz, Arisa Balaga that have all hit 70 million as price tags. So you're like, how do you quantify that?
I do think Havertz is worth that, just maybe not to this Chelsea squad at this exact moment, given the other players that we already have. I still like him being at the club long term. I think he's an amazing young talent. If nothing else, we'll be able to do a De Bruyne and sell him for insane profit where he can go be the best player in the world somewhere else.
Insane profit? I don't know.
Onward and upward. What am I going to do? It's sad. I still love Frank. I still don't think he did that bad of a job, but I also don't think he did enough to prove that he was good. It was just a complicated, weird year and a half. That, like, what a fucking crazy-ass world we live in. Like, what are you going to do?
Do a manager swap with Hodgson.
Yeah. Actually, they did, Chuck, talk about how Frank might be a good fit for Palace. You might want to listen to those 10 minutes.
Well, Rafa Benitez just has refused to sign a new contract in China. So, obviously, that coupled with Steve Bruce slagging himself, his club, saying he's like a mediocre manager or something like that. Like you're showing it, mate. Especially when you play 4 strikers against West Brom and don't score, or whatever it was. So, yeah, there's starting to be a little bit of interesting stuff thrown around as we, like, almost like a domino effect of managers could happen. But I still don't think Palace get rid of Hodgson before the end of the year.
Yeah. Although I guess that is the natural question, and I'll see what you guys think before we move on to the other fixtures. Like, of the names out there, the big ones are like Hasenhüttl, Tuchel.
Tuchel can fuck off.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, the whole racist thing. Yeah, don't really want him at the club, but at least tactics-wise, he might be an interesting fit. Who do you guys think that Chelsea should be going for? I'm so fucking mad that we're firing Frank and didn't, when we're 2 weeks late to get Poch. Like, what a fucking stupid club. They should have gone for Poch and thrown all the money at him, but whatever, it's done. Like,
do you think Poch would have gone to Chelsea?
For enough money, sure. He burned the bridge at Tottenham, so then he could join Stamford Bridge.
I don't know, without some really firm promises of money to do what he wants, after Chelsea have just spent so much, I just don't know whether I see that deal happening either way. I don't know, but like you say, they probably should have given themselves the option if they were going to get rid of Frank. They certainly should have tried to pursue Poch.
And for a little bit, going to PSG, you can just bump his CV up with having trophies on it. You know what I mean?
French titles, yeah.
He was there 3 days and won a trophy. Obviously, everyone goes, "Oh no, Pochettino's won his first trophy." Like, he managed 1 game to get a trophy. You know what I mean? Like, steady.
100% win record. There you go.
This is what you mean about meaning behind stats. You need them. And for him as well, on that weird 18-month contract, which is like a fucking loan deal, effectively. But at the same time, getting to go and manage players like Mbappe and Neymar and shit like that, like there must still be that level to managers. And he'd been out of the game for a while. Like, you need to. A little bit of his name gets built up by him being absent. But he's a good man manager. But as we've said before, like, he builds quite a big cult, and if he isn't then going to get refreshment and things built in, and because he demands a lot out of his players, then it becomes a bit tiresome. So a team like PSG makes sense. Yeah, I think a team like Chelsea probably would have made sense, but he would never have gotten the time. That's the problem with a club like Chelsea. Like, up and coming, something to prove managers, you're not going to get that chance if it doesn't go right quickly. You just not.
We need to bring Jose back. Jose 3. The return of the Jose.
3.0.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the special one, then the happy one. Now he can just be the old one. All right, well, let's move on then to Wednesday, January 20. We had Manchester City 2, Aston Villa 0. Manchester City's 3.3 to Aston Villa's 0.6. City are just going to run away with the league, except for, wait, what's that? KDB out? Long-term injury? Best player in the Prem, maybe?
I wouldn't say is it a long-term injury? 6 to 8 weeks now, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like
they play a game
time.
every 2 days. That's a season's worth of games.
He's going to miss about 20 games at this rate. Well, yes and no, because their defence has been great recently, and they've been playing a little bit like how we said Liverpool, like when Liverpool actually won the league, how they went, like they didn't just go gung-ho and have to make up ground and whatever. They were just, their defence was solid. And they were just getting like 1-0s or just keeping clean sheets. Like, how many bloody clean sheets have they kept now in a row? Like 5 out of 6?
It will destabilize their tactical system, though. Like, he is the central nexus for all creativity. So, like, if he's missing, then they have to, like, move other people to either those areas or shift the creative burden to other areas, which is then going to...
Phil Foden, mate.
Like,
Phil bloody Foden.
The real question is, who will he play instead of Phil Foden? That's the real question.
Do you think Foden's good enough? He's not De Bruyne good. I'm not saying that you think that, but, like, is he good enough to deputize for a few weeks?
Getting better and better. It's unreal. And, like, now that he's actually finally getting, like, before, Foden would get, like, 500 minutes a season and be good. Or, like, 700 minutes the next season and be good for all of those minutes. Now he's getting up to playing, like, nigh on 90, like, 70 to 90 minutes every single week. And he's just doing incredible things. And he's 20. Like... Fair enough, we slagged him for a while, but Pep seems to have, like... Well, obviously he knows what he's fucking talking about, but he's made Foden into, like, a ready-made thing that he's just incredible. I love watching him play. I love owning him in FPL because he's, like, always on the ball and doing something positive with it. He doesn't seem to, like... if he does lose the ball, it doesn't seem to be like a Bernardo Silva or a Mahrez, where you're like, you've just taken about 7 touches too much to get to that point. Like, you had 3 different times where you could have passed and it would have been the right thing, but you've now run down a blind alley and you fucked yourself. Whereas he's taking those chances and doing those things quickly. He, like, still losing the ball and whatever, potentially in some situations, but it's just so much more positive and better for the team, I think. And I would be more concerned that City, well, again, now Aguero's got COVID, which we hope he recovers soon, but I just don't think we're ever going to see him again with his contract running out. And Gabriel Jesus, like, is not a player. Like, he's just not a player that can fit in that role for City. Yeah. I think they thought he would be a few years ago, but he's just never gone to that. And he, like, always underperforms his XG so much and just is not... Nah.
Foden is really fun to watch, though.
He's great.
Like, yeah, every time I see him on the ball, he's one of those players that just, your eye is drawn to him. I can't imagine how much fun he must be to watch in a stadium.
Yeah.
Which always heightens that, like, natural magnetism element.
He's getting that David Silva kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. And he's stocky in a skinny way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, kind of, you know who has that actually is, like, Eden Hazard. He's small. He's not, like, a big dude. And he's not, like, stocky. Well, more recently he is. But he looks like he's hard to get pushed over or bullied around, despite how small he is. And Foden gives me those vibes. Like, I wouldn't want to try to...
Low center of gravity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sturdy. All right, well, from one Manchester club that is looking very strong and I think the most likely to win the league, to another Manchester club that probably the traditional narrative at this point thinks is the most likely to win the league. And we had Fulham 1 to Manchester United's 2, Fulham 0.8 to Manchester United's 1.7 on XG. So a very comfortable, exactly to the XG scoreline victory for Manchester United here, who are now truly top of the table too. You look at it, they're on 40 points. And pulling away from some really big names, like Liverpool are, 6 points behind, Tottenham are 7, Chelsea are 11, we don't want to talk about that.
I think you just did.
Yeah. Is it Manchester United are back, baby?
I don't want to say it because I don't want to admit it to myself. Yeah. Well, it could be that there's a lot of people who are going to have egg on their faces. And to be honest, we don't claim to be experts. We just make shit up every week. Or at least I do. Oscar knows things. But, I mean, they went 1 behind again. And, 21 of their 40 points this year have come from losing positions. Which is, is strong, and that's good. But to say it's the fight in this team or whatever, it still seems to me like that's not, I don't know, that just shouldn't be a good thing to celebrate for a team that's meant to be the best team or supposedly back or the biggest team, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like that should be celebrated, that you keep conceding first to Fulham or a West Brom or whoever. Then you're like, oh, we fight to get back. Like, nah, just fucking win and keep a clean sheet.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Because that's what we said Liverpool were for ages, and it was great to watch. But then, they'd lose the league by a point, or they wouldn't get anywhere, or they'd be 3-0 up against Palace, and then it would be 3-3. You know what I mean? Just examples I can pluck because I will always remember that fucking game. It was great. But it just doesn't. I don't know. Like it still feels like individual excellence.
Yeah.
Pulling them through rather than the manager doing, because Bruno Fernandes has had a bit of a dip in form relative to himself. Like, he's still an incredible player, and I won't have anyone saying like all this bollocks, oh, he's overrated or whatever. No, he's great. That's
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Truly, statistically, it's him, Grealish, and De Bruyne like just destroying the league on everything.
Yeah, but it's now coupled with, because you haven't really heard much from Rashford, Martial very recently, but Pogba has just all of a sudden come through and is taking these wild shots that are somehow going in, or, you know what I mean? Like, it still just feels like individual excellence is carrying them through rather than a coherent team-based structure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I think it's an interesting thing that Fulham haven't been doing brilliant this season, and it took wasn't it, the first goal was Cavani, wasn't it? And it was pretty much gifted to him. It was spilled into his path, wasn't it, by the keeper? And then Pogba's, as you say, moment of genius. That was a lovely goal. But if you're relying on that, and I'm not having a pop at Man United, really. They're top of the league, and I think they probably deserve to be there, because it's been. I remember a couple of seasons ago we were talking about no one seems to want to win the title. It does feel a little bit like that again.
This year.
Yeah, but so I'm not having a pop at them in a massive sense. I don't have a particular anti-Man U bias, but it's maybe slightly worrying that it takes two sort of individual moments, exactly as you just said there, Chuck, to put Fulham away. Because if you're going to be relying on those sorts of things when you play Man City, it's not as likely to happen. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm pretty convinced, as Oscar sort of says, I expect Man City by the end of February, I expect them to be 6 points clear. If it wasn't for Man City, I think it'd be great fun, because I think there'd be a genuine chance of a 4-5 way title race,
Yeah, and I mean, with KDB out for a significant amount of time, that very well could be the one way that we get a title race back on. But I'm glad that you guys said what you said about Manchester United, because I absolutely agree, and the underlying numbers do indicate that there is some truth to what you guys are saying, because their numbers, while they've been good and probably one of the best teams in the league over the last 5-ish weeks, are not particularly stable, because, as you mentioned, it does rely on quite a bit of individual brilliance, and Pogba is a genius with the ball at his feet, and he will score worldy goals from time to time. That's what it means to be one of those just world-class players. But that's going to happen once or twice a season. You can't rely on that as a strategy going forward as a team. And you can have 11 amazing individuals, and if they all do one amazing worldie a season, that'll buy you 10 extra goals, which is going to go a long way towards a few fair points. But long term, you want to be consistently putting up numbers that, even if you have 3 really good guys who all happen to go through a cold streak at the same time, because that happens, it's not going to completely fuck you, because there's stability in those underlying numbers. And their underlying numbers, while they've been good for the really recent run of games, still have them 7th on expected goal difference per 90. They're below Leicester and Tottenham on underlying numbers over the course of the entire season. That's on Football FBref's numbers, by the way, which is powered by StatsBomb. So I'm going to use those from time to time. On expected points per understat, which is a little bit of a messier model, they're about level with Leicester again, but further up the rankings. But the nature of having to rely on individual performances leads to low XG chances being the thing that you're relying on, just like Tottenham were at the beginning of the season, where it was as long as Son and Kane can continue to be super world-class players and run hot and overperform, the underlying numbers will be fine. And the moment those two guys fell back down towards earth, they're still really amazing players, but that's how that happens. And so that is kind of where I'm at least in terms of my take on United, is that they're running hot right now. But to me, it doesn't particularly seem sustainable, or at least I haven't yet been convinced as to like that being a long-term trajectory. But it could well be that they have built up enough points that it doesn't fucking matter. Like, who knows? Then maybe they just run away with it, even if they're not the best team. Like, that happens. Speaking of the best team or not running away with it or something, I don't know. Let's just get into
the jingle!
That's right. Let's cue the jingle. Thursday, January 2021.
Ooh, they're better than they ought to be.
Burnley of the week.
A true master of the form, the originators, the ones that we named it after. Burnley doing a Burnley up against Liverpool. Liverpool 0, Burnley 1, Liverpool 1.7 to Burnley's 1.1. Not that dramatic of a Burnley.
It's not even one, but when finally we don't have to hear that stupid, for 4.5 seasons, no one's beaten there. Apart from, although I would like, when they say that the run has ended, to say who was the team before the run began. Sam Allardyce's Crystal Palace, thank you very much. Yeah, and they were nearly fighting. Klopp was so angry, and it was great because he's just everyone's saying, yes, he's a German Holloway. I've been saying it for fucking years. He's fair weather. Once things stop going his way, he'll start fighting. And now, instantly already, there's so much things I see on my timeline about him getting fired or moving on or being in his 6-year slump that happened at Dortmund. And suck it, Liverpool fans. You got one time. You got your title. Now shut the fuck up for another 30 years.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, call him up, Roman. We need a manager. Klopp is the best manager in England. Well, no, Pep is, but get Klopp, yay! And actually, while we're saying I wish they would mention the team that was the last time they won, they should also probably mention the team that was the record they were chasing, because I saw a lot of people being like, oh, they're getting so far, they were so close. They were an entire season's worth of home victories short of the Chelsea record. So thank you very much. Put some fucking perspective and some respect on that name.
89 Chelsea? 87?
86, I think, and these guys were at 68. So 18 home victories short. But we're talking about how, they were so close. Fuck you guys. You weren't that close. Put some respect on that name.
For perspective, I think the closest to the record now is Man City, and they need another 4.5 seasons of not losing at home to equal the record.
Liverpool. What's up with Liverpool? Klopp going to get fired, actually?
No. I think we're talking about 87 shots Liverpool have had without scoring. That's not something that's going to continue.
Nope.
Someone who you retweet a lot from your stats community, Oscar, is it Grace?
Yes.
Tweeted that the chances of that happening, XG wise, 87 shots without a goal, was 0.16%. It's not going to carry on. So it's just that they've got to find their shooting boots again. It's a strange one, without a doubt. It's
it's fucking delightful.
It's Liverpool haven't gone 4 league games without scoring for 20 years, but that just shows that it's a bit of an anomaly, surely. So I don't think Liverpool will have to panic. I don't think there's any genuine Klopp out things happening. I share your delight, Chuck, about Klopp starting to unravel a little bit in press conferences and stuff, because I think he's, as you say, he's got it in him, which could be really funny. And seeing him and Dyche down the tunnel was brilliant at half time, because Dyche obviously said something Klopp didn't like. Klopp sort of starts chasing him down the tunnel and shouting at him. Dyche turns round and Klopp just stops. There was a very sort of real, I didn't expect you to turn round. And then it just sort of peters out very slowly. But it looked very heated until Dyche turned round, and you just got the impression that he was like, oh shit, I'm going to get a slap here. But
you can bring your dinner at all. You're fucking naked.
Klopp was like, hold me back, bro. Somebody hold me back.
Please,
hold me back,
there's
bro.
no one there, no one in the tunnel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was an interesting squad selection, if not only from an FPL point of view for me.
Triple captain going? How'd that go, Ian? Did that go well?
We'll get to it.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah, it was an interesting squad selection, because I think when you're struggling for goals, I don't know whether he was trying to mix it up or deliberately to try and sort of get someone new in who might might be able to do something. But I feel like you've even though it's Burnley, you've got to just continue to play your strongest team, haven't you? And just get the scoring monkey off your back, surely.
Yeah, but he wanted the scoring monkey. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Imagine having a scoring monkey on your back. It felt like he did it because he came out afterwards and then started saying, well, like, words to the effect of, well, you've all been saying I should rotate my team, so, like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what, so now you're going to use people on Twitter as your... Like, grow a fucking bear, man. Like, give yourself. Maybe when you were playing literal, like, 16-year-olds that had to be dropped off at the ground by their parents, maybe then you didn't need to run out a team. Maybe you didn't need to sub on Salah for those guys. Maybe, like, you know what I mean? There's all these other times, but when it's like, oh, you know what, here, we're in a bit of a slump and we need to sort this shit out in the league, maybe we should do that. Oh no, we'll just get humiliated and lose 1-0 to Burnley. After, 5 games ago, we put 7 past Palace. Gutted, mate, we broke you. And then they've been dumped out of the cup tonight by Man United 3-2 as we record. So, there was your Mo Salah goals as well, Ian. Congrats.
Oh, was it? Oh, God.
2 of them.
Good. Oh, so, delighted. Delighted for him.
So, Liverpool aren't in the League Cup. They're not in the FA Cup. They aren't looking like they're going to win the league now. Bad times.
Bad times. And I will say from the outside in, it has been very, very nice and comforting to have the similar situation going on over at Liverpool than fucking Chelsea do, because I've seen firsthand the power that narrative has to wreak havoc on a club. And the idea that there's even people remotely talking about, if only in jest, Klopp out, is so fucking amazing, because they're so clearly so much better than these results, and yet people are like, oh, crisis, and I'm like, yes. Anyone other than Chelsea
taking a little bit
delightful.
Of the heat off Chelsea, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
just
like,
a bit.
I think it is, yeah. I think it is.
It's like the scoop of sour cream on top of the chili. You know what I mean? It just takes a little bit of the...
a little bit of the heat.
Yeah. A little bit of the heat.
Exactly. All right, and then the last fixture of the week.
God, we're going to have to talk about Newcastle again.
This one can be short. I don't have particularly hot takes on any of this, but Aston Villa 2, Newcastle 0, Aston Villa 2.6 to Newcastle 0.4. Aston Villa, here's a fun stat for you, had 91% of the chances in this match.
I love it. And hang on, how many strikers did fucking Newcastle play?
Well, I don't know if that was this game, but there was a game where they played like... It was Carroll
I thought
and
it was
Wilson.
Villa. Okay.
It was the game before. I'm sure they played Carroll and Wilson and Joe Ellington and Almiron.
Yeah, okay. I thought that was this one. Right, gotcha.
It was like, yeah, but that was a bit of a mess. Sorry, not to sell you short like that.
No.
Villa are good, man. Like, they're great to watch. I hate it, like, in a good way. You know what I mean? Because it's like, obviously, pinch of salt because they have a billionaire owner, like, cool, whatever. They spent a shitload of money, but they got Dean Smith, they backed him. They've kept Jack Grealish. They've added people around him to take the pressure off. They took a few calculated risks that, for the most part, now are paying off on balance across the season. And, they're like 20% according to I'm doing the 538 numbers this week, Oscar. There you go. They are like 17% to make the Champions League.
Fuck me.
After half a season with 2 games in hand.
Wow. Okay.
Like, they win their 2 games in hand. They're above Liverpool.
Wow. I mean, that's a hell of a season from Dean Smith and the team, isn't it? I mean, I think this game there was never any doubt. I'm a bit upset with myself that I didn't put money on Aston Villa and a clean sheet, because I just don't think it was ever in any doubt. No. Steve Bruce is doing things his way now, though. So, how long has he been in charge? And he's now doing things his way. It's good to see. Good to see.
While you guys were talking, I was sorting some stats for the... FBref has stats for the entire Big 5 European leagues combined.
I'm glad you're using your downtime productively.
Yeah. I mean, you guys were saying smart things. Jack Grealish is basically third behind Neymar and Messi in shot creation, dribbles into the final third, dribbles into the penalty area, all of the major categories for creativity and like dribbling. Grealish is like playing 5 best in Europe in every fucking category.
And his calves as well. His calves. Oh.
I think he deliberately puts on those tiny shin pads and the little socks to make them look even more impressive.
If you had calves like that, you show them off all the time. How'd you get calves like that? Is that like a
diving? Lots of diving.
Fine.
It's actually a calf body double. He has a mold of someone else's calves, and he gets them attached to the back of his own leg, so that when he walks around, it looks like he has calves. Yeah, conspiracy theory started by
We'll talk about that in the conspiracy theory episode, yeah.
Okay.
Just no more court cases, Jack. Stop being
please.
a little toe rag off the pitch.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And stop diving. I don't know. Next he'll be taking his sister's birthday off and hashtag smashing mummy.
Oh, please. I knew that was going.
All right, well, moving on then. That's enough soccer. Let's do other stuff.
Oh, Predictor League! League of Predictions, because we haven't done it for ages, and people kept asking me. Well, I say people. A person asked me a couple of weeks ago, and I said I'd do it, but I didn't mean to, and I forgot, because I couldn't be bothered, and it didn't make sense, but now we're halfway through the season. Predictor League, yeah. Yeah, so everyone should know what it's about by now. If you don't, then there's no point explaining it to you. Dan Parkinson, shout out Dan Parkinson, still last 100 points because Tottenham aren't getting relegated, mate.
Strange that.
We move to us, so out of 33 people, Oscar, you're 25th.
True to form. Love it.
Awkward. Alex Sampson, you're the one who asked me. You're in 12th, mate. Well done. 70 points. Joint 7th, sorry, with me, Ian, Finley, Blair Williamson, and the average between the three of us.
Wow, okay. That is a bunched up league.
Yeah, exactly. And then above that, in joint 4th, we have Adam P., Gabriel, and Dave Mateo. Big Dave. Joint 2nd, Van Dam Zam Danby and James Doncaster on 64. And top of the pops, he's still there, Smitty, Chris Smith,
Smitty.
and Wesson on 60 points.
Good stuff. Smitty's on for the £50 so far.
Predictor League, right, that's my bit done. There you go. Ian, do you want to talk about FPL? Oh, you might want to talk about FPL. How'd your week go? Oh, you played triple captain, didn't you? Oh, chips.
I think I don't want to be one of these fair weather FPL players who doesn't want to talk about it when he has a bad week. But should we move on to the bluffer?
But you are. Sorry.
Had a shocker. Really bad week. Decided against to play it was always the plan to play the bench boost, and to do that I'd have had to, with all the mess of fixtures and crap, I'd have had to have taken a sizable hit to go through with the bench boost. I decided against it, and I decided that instead I would triple captain Salah. On the face of it, seemed fine because my bench did shit. Only got 7 points between them. But obviously, triple captain Salah went very badly. I've still got the bench boost for the future, but I mean, you've absolutely tomped me the last 2 weeks, Chuck, and you haven't used a chip in them, so it's...
No, you beat me by 1 point last week.
Okay, but a loss is a loss is a loss. So...
Which annoyed me, because you've beaten me by 1 point. I looked 4 times this season.
Have I really?
Yeah. So annoyed.
Yeah, that's why this was a bad season to choose the head-to-head as the sort of format of our rivalry, whereas overall score-wise, we're getting much closer now.
Yes, because you're 5 games ahead of me now, so 15 points because I clawed one back. 110 points for the week after point 6. No chips played.
Very nice.
Really, yeah. Well, I was always going to go for a weird captain choice, to be fair, but it was between Cancelo and Antonio, who were... I think I brought both of them in this week, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, for Callum Wilson, got rid of him because Newcastle were fucking awful. And then, I captained Cancelo, who came close. He gets extra points for coming close,
to
I think.
Antonio is an absolutely brilliant transfer. That's just, that's brilliant.
That was good. And I prefer, it's also that element of just, I like watching Antonio play. And so I want that in my team. I love Phil Foden, and now that he's getting the time and he's super cheap, he's just in my team. And I was getting annoyed that Bruno Fernandes kept scoring every week and I didn't have his points, so I brought him in my team. Yeah.
Simple, isn't it? Easy.
Yeah, simple, isn't it? Although, looking at it now, I had 15 points on my bench, so maybe I could have played my bench boost, but it
wouldn't have been a bad bench boost. Yeah, 15's pretty serviceable, isn't it? Yeah.
Hindsight. What about Oscar? Your team, Stats Robots team, People's team. What is it this week? How well did it do?
It's not my team. It's the community/spreadsheets team.
Went badly then.
Right. Okay.
No, 98 points. That's not too bad.
Oh, fucking
hell. That's good.
All right, eat a dick. Fucking hell.
Triple captain played on KDB. We also had returns from Kanza, Stones, obviously, famously.
You're doing that thing, though, where you say the points without taking into account the points hit. You got 90 points.
Where does it say that? Mate. I don't care enough to remember where that is. I just see the big number at the top, and I'm like, that's what we did.
Okay, you got 90.
90, okay.
Yeah.
90.
Stop saying, and everyone, like, stop saying, oh, I got 98 brackets -4. So, like, you got 94. Like, that was your score. Don't
the maths
make
for
us
me.
do maths. Do the maths yourself. It's what you got. It's what you got.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, well, 90 points then. We had returns from Kanza, Stones, Thiago Silva, Grealish, Bruno, KDB, aforementioned, and then, double game weeks, but no returns for Callum Wilson and Jamie Vardy.
It was very much a week of, like, a lot of big names didn't really do much. Like, I was, even though I owned them, I was really worried about Fernandes, Salah. I was worried because I didn't own De Bruyne, I didn't own Vardy. So, as much as you say, Ian, I had a blinder, like, there were a lot of things that had to happen for me to relatively do that well against you. Like, on paper, I think 9 times out of 10, you would have played a triple captain that week and it would have made sense. And all it would have taken, and I say all, like, if Salah had scored 2 goals, you probably would have been level with me.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? That's 10 points, tripled 30. That's another 30 points.
Well,
And of the popular triple captain options, I have to imagine KDB was one of the more returny ones, right? Because it's not like people were triple captaining Stones. I mean, some people were triple captaining Stones, but that's always because there's like crazy ass people somewhere. Like,
yeah. I am happy I've still got the bench boost in hand, because it would have been a waste of a bench boost. But it's never good to get that lower score off a triple captain. And now I'm left with the situation, because the next big double is going to be game week 26, and you've got to sort of keep an eye on the FA Cup to see how that's going to affect you. And then the blank is after that in game week 29. I'm left with having to free transfer my way to a bench boost, because I then want a wild card afterwards to make sure I'm okay for the blank. So
why don't you save it for the late season doubles? There's always doubles around like 34, 35.
This is what I was going to say, because I think a lot of people are letting the time of year affect the decisions more than how far away we are. Because we're like, for a lot of teams aren't even at 50% of games played.
True, yeah.
And it's nearly February now. Like, traditionally we'd probably be another 3-4 game weeks along, 5 game weeks maybe, because of the fixture congestion. So like, everyone's going like, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm there, like I've got this, like, there's still half the season to go.
I mean, I've just been listening to like what the Patreons have said and stuff, but like on my own personal team, I always go into game week into the 30s with 2 chips and a wild card.
It's slightly different from other seasons though, where
I don't
these
know,
doubles
man.
are going to land.
Game week 18 and 19 for chips to be played feels real fucking early. Like, I'm with Chuck.
No, it is, because
none of these are my decisions anyway. But like,
it is, but you wouldn't usually have like crazy doubles at this time. And the difference was obviously
that's true.
It fit quite nicely with a lot of people using their first half of the season wild card, which usually is just a complete, I'll just use it whenever, because there's no chip potential in the first half of the season. Whereas this is the first season where we've had a big double and a big blank in that first half of the season, you could use your wild card.
There was very little difference, wasn't there? You could wild card, 2 weeks before, wasn't it, the deadline ended or something?
Yeah, so I exactly that, yeah. I wild carded, I think, into 16, and the double blank was 18-19. So that it's different this season. I think the biggest double will be 26. And you're absolutely right, Oscar. There probably will be doubles scattered around just because of postponements. And there is usually a big double in the 37 or something, usually, like right near the end. But I think they're going to be smaller this season. Ultimately, I'm just going to go with the information that we know about, which is that there's going to be a big double in 27, and then there's going to be a blank in 29, and then deal with anything afterwards just however.
I think that's the main thing, especially like, I know I've joked around about it and lucked out here, and like, I didn't want to play my chips in this because I figured, look, there's going to be a lot of shit happen, and fair enough, for this week it's kind of come out of luck because of the players I listed before just didn't perform well. But like, I didn't feel the need. Like, I had 10 players in the blank game week. I was fine with that, because to spunk a free hit and potentially get like another 6-7 didn't feel right. And then obviously people bring in loads of Leeds and Southampton players, and then they don't have the fixture. Like, I was very churlish and joked about it last week, but I do really think it's mad that people aren't thinking about the time. I know you do have to use the information you've got, but like when you see, oh, well, there are still fixtures getting thing, lots of players testing COVID, look at what's going on in the UK, how bad our coronavirus response is, what's going on left, right and centre here, is that like save it. We've still got a lot of season left. Don't feel like, because other people, I know it's after the fact now, so you know it's a lot easier to say this and say that that's what I'm saying, but that's why I didn't want to use anything in this period. That was my thinking, because it was like anything could change in a second. So if I could ride this out well, now I've still got my free hit, I've still got a second wild card, and I've got a bench boost still with double game weeks and blank game weeks to come. So with the potential now, especially because the FA Cup, all the Premier League teams got through.
Yeah.
Obviously there were fixtures where it was both Premier League teams, but the Premier League team won in every single instance. I think it's just West Ham left to play. No, maybe not West Ham. I can't remember who. There's still one more game to play, I think.
Right.
So there's no non-Prem teams left in the FA Cup? That's crazy. That feels really early.
No, well, we're still round 4.
Oh, so there would have been some fixtures that were like lower league versus lower league.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But what I mean is that there weren't any giant killings with Premier League teams. So in terms of the implications for FPL, it means like there's going to be more.
Plenty,
God knows what's going on down the line.
Yeah.
And potentially there could be blank game weeks where there's only 3 fixtures.
Whew.
So like, what do you do for there?
Yeah.
Do you,
good luck navigating
when you
that
don't
one.
have a chip? Do you build towards it and try to get 9 players on teams that you don't want? Do you spunk a free hit chip on a game where potentially you're going to get fuck all out of it? Like, there's a lot still, but don't do any long-term fucking planning or stress about that. Good vibes.
Good vibes.
110 points. No chips. Suck it.
Congratulations. It would be churlish of me to say otherwise. It's a 110 with no chips. It's so good. So good.
That's phenomenal. That's genuinely so good.
A 3-digit haul once a season, like, that's what we all want. That's what... Enjoy it. Hashtag PTS.
Yeah, I did actually. The Salah, the night of the Salah game, I saw he was benched, and I just went, "I'm done." And I just put my phone. I put my phone in the corner of the room, and me and Kel
really
watched a film because I didn't
log
on and
so many messages.
I
was checking the delivered receipt.
Well, look, we joke about that whole hashtag PTSD, but that is what you got to do. I felt myself getting unduly angry. And so I removed myself from the situation.
And it's not even like you could turn off the Twitter app because you knew I was coming direct.
Seriously, my phone went in a corner of the room and I didn't pick it up again until the next morning. I just couldn't deal
and then
with
all of a sudden a bunch of ravens showed up at your house carrying scrolls. Each one just said, ha ha ha, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
He's been training them just for this exact purpose. Years he's had these ravens ready to go.
I'm glad they managed to fulfill their purpose.
So many behind the scenes for Game of Thrones to see how they did it.
Yeah, time well spent, mate. Time well spent.
How did they get the ravens that far in a day? What? Figured it out, mate.
Yeah,
science. Good. Time traveling ravens.
So do the owls speak English in Harry Potter? I guess, speaking of birds that deliver mail, I've always wondered this, and I need to ask.
Their accent's probably English, yeah, why not? But they're owls, mate. They don't speak
I was going to say, what are we talking about?
They understand.
Can you just play... If you play theme tunes, it gets us to the next segment, Ian.
Oh, do you actually want the bluffer?
Let's move on then. Let's get to some whatever the next thing is. Let's do the next thing. Yay!
It's the bluffer!
Yeah, the bluffer. There it is. Bluffer time. Got some questions. Can you guess the answers to those?
Someone talk.
Hi, this is the Bluffer. I invented this. I have lists of categories, and they'll guess how many they can guess. And then one of them says, "I don't think you could do that." And then the other one has to answer.
Yeah,
and if he
someone
does
talk
then
better.
he gets the point. But if he doesn't do it, then the other guy gets the point. And there's 3 points. And if someone gets all the points for the week, or 2 of the 3 points for the week, then they get another point, but it's a separate kind of point, because that's for like the whole season point of like who's winning for the whole season. And we call it the Bluffer.
This is the best bit of our podcast, and you just describe it in the worst way possible.
Yeah. Literally, the only person listening now is Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. All right, well, Chuck. I got
by the way, and Jeff, if you are listening, just get a pen and paper out, mate, and just write the categories down yourself, because I can't send them to you, mate. I don't have them. It takes so long. Sorry.
Jeff, I'll send you a picture of the page in my notebook that I'm currently staring at. All right. We did get an excellent suggestion from one of the Patreons, the excellent Fulham fan, Safira, who did provide a category for me that I
Safira,
it's tough,
gold!
Chuck, there have been 11 Golden Boot winners between the Euros and the World Cup since the year 2000. So Euros 2000, World Cup 02, Euros 04, so forth and so on. Can you name how many of the Golden Boot winners for all of those tournaments can you name? There's been 11 in total.
3.
4.
4 out of 11. Chuck, do you want to go 5?
I don't know, because I do kind of want to play it honest, because I genuinely know 3. Can you add in France 98 and I'll make it 4?
I cannot, no. I refuse.
I can't make it 4 anyway, because Ian did that. Damn it!
Yeah.
Can I do 5? Yeah, 5.
5, all right. Can we go to more than halfway, Mr. Simpson? 6 out of 11.
No, I'm not going to go any further than 5.
Right, what am I doing? Right, so there was no 2020, so we're going 2018. So Harry Kane was the Golden Boot winner at World Cup 2018.
Mm-hmm.
2014 was James Rodriguez.
Very good.
2002 was... oh, shit. Wait, when was... Did Klose win it, or was it Muller in 2010? Punty McPuntface. R9 Ronaldo in 2002.
Yes, the original one. Yep. Ronaldo.
Original one. How many is that? 3.
That's 3, so I need 2 more. You also have the Euros to choose from. You've only done World Cup.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I don't... Yeah, I know, because I can't remember the Euro ones. Cristiano Ronaldo, when Portugal won it? Nah.
Oh, unlucky.
You're going to hate yourself in a second.
Was it Muller and Klose?
They're both on there. Klose was 06 and Muller was 2010. That's fucking brutal. When you said that, I was like, oh my God, if he doesn't get these 5, he's going to be so mad.
No, but to be fair, if I'd have said 1, I wouldn't have guessed the other, I don't think.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's run through. Mr. Simpson, do you want to give me any guesses on this?
I remember just because I had him in the fantasy tournament that year. I think Milan Baros was one.
Yes, that's right. 2004.
I remember because I owned him from start to finish in that tournament, and it was an absolute corker.
I was 13.
There you go.
Any other guesses?
Euro 2000? No. No, generally not.
All right, well, you said all the World Cup ones, even if you didn't officially guess all the World Cup ones. But at the Euros 2016, it was Antoine Griezmann.
Yeah, of course.
Euros 2012, it was Fernando Torres, surprisingly. And that was well into his Chelsea career. He went off the...
Oh, shit. No, of course, because that was when he got the Golden Boot. He tied it, but he got the Golden Boot because he went longer in the competition, and he could have won it outright, but passed to someone else who got a tap-in for Spain to then win the tournament.
Mm-hmm. There was someone else with the same number of goals and 1 assist, just like him, but he had less minutes, so I guess that's why they gave it to him. But Fernando Torres, 2012...
he got to the final. It's because he got to the final.
Oh, is it?
So,
okay.
Yeah, I think that was why.
David Villa at Euros 2008, so 2 Spaniards there, sandwiched between 2 Germans. And then at the 2000 Euros, there was a tie, so that's why it's 11. That's why it's an odd number. I don't know how to pronounce these, because this was before my time, but Patrick Kluivert...
Yep.
Was that someone? Yeah. And Savo Milosevic.
Huh. Yeah,
okay.
No, yeah, Savo Milosevic.
Well, there you go. So thank you to Safira for that excellent category.
Yeah,
Point to Ian.
Ian is full on Burnley with this. If he goes 1 up...
Yeah, he's just going to let you
This is game state now. I'll play defensively.
Yeah, exactly. These XG numbers are tainted with the early goal. Ian, you're going to Mourinho this one. FPL, I have collected the 15 players with the most points so far this season. 15 because that's as much space as I had on my paper to write down names. So how many of the FPL top points getters so far this season can you name of the top 15?
Okay, 8.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Straight into over halfway.
Yeah,
Chuck, that's very aggressive. He can do it too, I think.
9. Okay, 9.
10.
10 out of 15, 2/3.
Because he does an FPL podcast every week, so he looks at this shit. 11.
11. Wow, 11 out of 15. Mr. Simpson, do you want to go to 12?
I will go to 12, yeah. I would usually let him go, but I think I can probably do most of these. So, yeah, I will go 12.
Chuck, let him have it at 12, man. You're crazy if you go for 13.
No, I'm going to know all of them.
Yeah, well, I had heard of all the fast food chains. It's not the hard part of the game.
It's just whether one of us says something stupid, that's all.
So I would have to do 13. No.
Well, you could go 14 or 15 if you prefer.
Correct. Those are the
Could
options.
put them on 14. What's the difference between 13 and 14, really? If you're going to guess here, you might as well guess 14 to make them go to the full 15. I'm just saying.
No, but Ian won't go higher than 12. He literally won't. I'm surprised he went higher than 8.
I know, this was almost a Beatles situation. He was almost straight in with 14.
Yeah, no. Go on, Ian. Get your point, whatever it means. Classless.
All the grace of a reversing dump truck. Okay. Kane.
Yep, 142 points.
Son.
139 points.
Grealish.
105 points, 6th place.
Bruno.
2nd place, 140 points.
Vardy.
5th place, 116.
Bamford.
Bamford, yes, 7th place, 103 points. You've named 6 out of the top 7.
Okay. At what point do I bring defenders into it as well? Have I said Salah?
Salah, that's the other one in the top 7.
Fucking hell. I suddenly realised I hadn't
great.
said Salah. Jesus Christ.
So you have hit the top 7 all in a row.
Oh, blimey.
Salah was on 129, so I need 5 more correct, please.
Calvert-Lewin.
Very good. He's exactly next on the list at 8th with 95 points. 4 more.
4 more. What point do I go to defenders?
Chuck, he's not going to get this. Congratulations.
He is.
Rashford.
He's Ian.
10th place, 93 points. You have 9 out of the top 10.
Robertson.
Ooh, you lucky. 15th place with 88 points.
You fucking prick. You still got to get 2 more.
2 more.
Okay. Martinez.
Wow, good pull. The goalkeeper, 92
Fucking
points.
hell.
Yep. And
Very good pull.
KDB.
KDB, 9th. You got the whole top 10 now. 95 points for KDB. Do you want to try to round out the 3 you're missing? This is very impressive.
Suchek?
Nope.
Fucking hell, if I'd have gone 13.
Wow. Right at the 12. Rounding out the list was another goalkeeper in 12th. Equal level points, 92 points, same as Martinez. And that is Pope. I don't know if I said the name there in that sentence, but Pope.
Really?
13th place was Zaha, 92 points also. And 14th place on 92 points also was Wilson.
Oh shit! I think if I'd have gone more than 12, I'd have been fucked. And I might have, but yeah, okay.
It's always knowing what scale to go down to, because when you said Martinez, I was like, that's fucking insane to go for a goalkeeper. And especially when you were saying defenders, because there was only one defender in there, right? It was
There's
just
only one
Robertson.
defender.
Yeah.
I was wondering when to switch to defenders, because I knew at some point you'd get down to. I was reaching because I'd done Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, and I'd done a lot of the midfielders. I must admit I missed KDB until right at the end there. But I was wondering what point do I switch it, because there must be a defender outscoring the likes of Neto, and who was probably someone else I might have said. So, yeah, I think I absolutely got lucky with hitting 12 there, because any other way I'd have lost.
Yeah, we get it. You won, mate. You won.
Oh, I won. I can play music.
Oh, for goodness sake.
That's my winning music.
Yeah, and the fact that it just feels... Yeah.
You're not
it's really
happy?
like just pushing the face down in the mud afterwards. That's what it feels like.
I guess I can save the next category. It had 48 entries. So
my
I guess
God.
I'll be happy to save that one.
We need some consistency of how we do these, because I feel like me giving out the categories to select the other week gives an advantage to certain people. You know what I mean? I would never have chosen FPL first, you bastard.
So that leaves the scores at Chuck with 4, Oscar with 5, and me with 4. So fairly even. And me to host next. So
None of us won it.
yeah, it's like the title
Are all
race.
of us good or are all of us bad? Not sure.
Yeah.
Not clear.
So if you've got any ideas, you can email us at milesoffsidepod@gmail.com or join us on the
No, don't email them.
Don't email them. We'll all see them. Good point. Yeah, no. Yeah. Tweet us individually, or even better, join the Patreon, patreon.com/milesoffsidepod, and then you can message us individually on the Slack if you've got any ideas. But yeah, good point. Don't email them. We'll all see them. And that was The Bluffer, brought to you by Manscaped. I mean, definitely not officially, but yeah.
In partnership with Manscaped. Yeah, it is. We're changing the name. I told you.
We must be very clear that it is not officially a partnership with them on any level whatsoever. Well, but they are sponsoring our podcast, and so if you love your down belows, then use our code MOP20 to save 20% and get free shipping on some sort of lovely product, whether that be testicle deodorant, a nice nail kit, grooming kit, the Lawnmower 3.0 waterproof porcelain blade technology.
Oh, it's so gentle.
It's nice, right? It is genuinely like
it's smooth as anything down there.
Smooth as a bowling ball,
and especially because I am a sweaty man.
Famously,
let it be known. And when you're running around all day, sometimes runners have this as well. You're down below, you don't want what's affectionately known as a broccoli bum. You know what I mean? Get that deodorant on there. Glides smooth as anything. No chafing for when you're going on your long runs. If you're on your feet all day, out and about. Even when it is snowing outside, still maybe.
You get hot when you're building a snowman. You get hot.
Do you want to shave your balls, man?
Very nice. Very nice.
Do you want to smooth it out? Then you can go to manscaped.com. Use code MOP20 at the checkout.
Oh, mate.
20% off free shipping. Do you want to shave your balls, man? It doesn't have to be your balls, man.
That's why you're the best, Chuck. Why you're the best.
Mr. Ball Jingles.
But genuinely, that is actually one of the best ways you can support the pod at the minute, is go to manscaped.com and use the code MOP20.
MOP20, 20% off, free shipping. We've got more fixtures in the way. Is there
football?
How many?
More football.
Football. So there'll be 2 weeks before we come back to you, which will be interesting. Ian, I mean, another reason to jump on the Patreon is because Ian does some fantastic FPL tips episodes. So if you join, you will get another one. I'm holding you to this now before Game Week 21 as well, before we reconvene. But we'll look at Game Week 20 for now, which is right upon us in just 2 days' time as we record to you now. We kick off with Crystal Palace, West Ham, and Newcastle, Leeds. Those are the earlier fixtures. And then Southampton, Arsenal at the same time as West Brom, Man City. Love it now, again, when there's more than one fixture at once. Feels better. Game week doesn't last for 2 fucking weeks.
It's been a slog.
I know. Then we move into Wednesday afternoon, morning, depending on where you live. Burnley, Aston Villa. Then Chelsea, Wolves. Brighton, Fulham. Come on, Fulham. Let's go. Let's go, Safira.
Yeah.
Fucking got this.
Ruben Hattrick, ahoy.
Yeah. Everton, Leicester, and Man United, Sheffield United. R.I.P. Sheffield United.
The Battle of the Uniteds. This one's for all the Uniteds.
Okay, and then literally the worst fixture Klopp could expect after a run of frustration and not being able to score. Spurs at home to Liverpool. Mourinho got a Mourinho. He is going to play to not let Liverpool get 3 points. You heard it here first, folks. So a fairly good balanced game week, I feel. Like a lot of, apart from, like Man City, West Brom, and Man United, Sheffield United, literally top 2, bottom 2.
I fancy Leeds to give out a dick into Newcastle as well. I mean, I think never have a pair of styles been so mismatched.
Yeah, and that one also is a battle of the Uniteds. This one's for all the Uniteds.
I mean, you could say that about virtually any fixture in the British calendar. I mean, there's so many Uniteds. Not that many Hotspur. Just the one, as far as I can remember.
Just the one, yeah.
Well, no, it's Hotspurs, so it's plural, so there's more than one somewhere.
It's not actually, isn't it? It's Tottenham Hotspur, isn't it?
Yeah, Hotspur, singular.
Yeah, just
the
one.
FPL website lists them as Spurs.
Yeah,
that's a colloquialism.
Yeah, exactly. And that
it's
really
an official
annoys me.
PremierLeague.com website. It says Spurs.
Yeah, but I don't like it. I don't know why is that the only team that gets a nickname? Anyway.
Yeah, that is annoying.
There you go. Ian,
now you've pointed out, I'm really annoyed by that.
It's like when players wear their first name on the back of their shirts. I
Yeah.
don't fucking
Who
care.
decides?
I don't
Who
care
decides?
what your nan called you when you were a child. Put your surname on the back of your shirt. I
Although
know
it did
there
allow
are
Oscar. It did allow Oscar in the early days to say Chicharito.
I didn't like that. I didn't like it.
Excuse me, I guess Ian's feeling a little bit horny today and wants me to say it. I gotta provide, Chuck. You know how it is.
Quick, play the music, Ian. Quick.
What music?
The outro music. We're done.
Oh, right, we're done. Okay.
Fucking hell.
Sorry, I didn't know what you wanted.
As always, you can drive the episode forward so quickly now. Brilliant. Well, thank you all for listening. As ever, I got over 100 points in FPL. No chips. Say goodbye, Oscar.
Chicharito.
Say goodbye, Ian.
I'm nearly there. Yeah, bye.
Thanks, Nate Whitten, producer, girlfriend haver, man of the hour? Question mark? I don't know. I'm literally just padding to time. Take care. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Oh, Mr. I always nail it to line up perfectly with the song.
Also, you don't need to hit the
Patty for
end.
time.
We used to hit it in the middle and then just let the music take over. You don't need to hit the end. It's fine.
No, I like it.
Yeah, okay, fine. I mean, I'm going to leave all this in. So.
Yeah. Oh. Testicles.
So childish.